stop my heart, baby. I don't know the words to the song, but the Buffalo Sabres win in overtime. Woo! What
scary.
a game, Hurls. What a game.
That was scary. I wasn't expecting that.
I've been doing that every win now. Every single win, the mask comes out.
I guess I haven't been here for many wins.
I'll tell you what, guys. For those tuning in, I know we went on a little late. We had to wait till I got home, but I just want to say, as you can see in the title for the show tonight, if there's one word that can describe not just this game tonight, but this team, resilient. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd say so, especially with all the adversity tonight. I think it was pretty widely accepted throughout the hockey universe that the goalie interference call was objectively a bad call. It seems as though that the NHL doesn't fully know what the right way to call goalie interference is. Connor Hellebuyck, the best goalie in the world at the moment, and I personally think he's been the best goalie in the world for a while now. You can say that he's biased, but he gave the NHL a PowerPoint presentation on what he believes is the right way to call goalie interference in today's game. And he sent it to the league. And from my understanding, he never heard back. So they either threw it in the trash or they looked at it and said, oh, he's a goalie. He doesn't know anything, or he's biased. And they still very, very consistently can never get it right. So it's concerning. But to your point, very unbelievably resilient win for the team to respond as quickly as they did with a really, really nice play from McLeod to tuck in front of the net, and to extremely intelligently hold the puck in their own end for the final 56 seconds of regulation to get the 4-on-3 advantage on the power play in overtime, which, as we all know, and maybe people are wondering why they did that, a 4-on-3 power play is so much better than a 5-on-4 because there's so much more space to work with. You can actually run plays, as they eventually did, which was a 3-on-3 at that point because Tuck broke his stick. Paterka to Dahlin, one-timer, game over. So, yeah, resilient, really, really nice win.
Yeah, I want to say this too, as on the drive home. Paul Hamilton was kind of complaining that they did that at the end of the game, that they held onto the puck instead of trying to get a longer potential power play. I'm like, dude, like, first off, so many things could happen. Like, once you pull your goalie, you know what I mean? And then maybe they get possession of the puck away. Okay, then you have a 5-on-4. You know, you're also giving them a chance to score a shorthanded goal, 5-on-4 with 30 seconds left, which can happen against this team. So I don't agree with that. And then 4-on-3, a lot more ice to work with. Get your 4 best players out there, whoever's playing their best. And then, I mean, you really take away the chance of a shorthanded goal in that situation, right? Like, they're going to be playing down low, protecting the front of the net. Like, you're not going to give a shorthanded goal in that situation. So I can't believe that there were actually complaints from Paul Hamilton about that.
Well, Paul Hamilton, I think, usually finds a way to complain about things. He's a bit, I would say he's the word of the old guard when it comes to analytics, playing things a little bit different, freewheeling style hockey. I think in this case, it was just objectively smart. As long as they didn't make that catastrophic mistake of putting their puck into their own net, which I was really terrified about, that is the smartest thing to do that you could possibly, that they possibly could have done in that situation. And I even just saw a tweet from BR Open Ice, and they sent out the entire minute-long video of the Sabres doing that and all the comments to that tweet. And the top liked comment says that this is brilliant. And it's not something that is probably been seen in the NHL, at least recently. I don't know if a team has ever done that before. Probably not. It was a pretty unique situation.
Yep.
But as soon as they had the puck and were able to control it, it was really, really smart of them to do it. And I'm happy that they did.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. Like, I mean, normally you wouldn't see that unless, again, it's at the very end of the game, the late penalty call, you know, so you're not going to see that often, but I mean, it worked. And Jeremy White made a great point too. And I want to extend on it. You know, 3-on-3 should be 3-on-3, or I'm sorry, overtime should be 3-on-3, or a power play. Word salad. a power play in overtime should be 3-on-2. Because I think that would just wreak, havoc. It'd be amazing, in my opinion. And then, but in the situation, I guess in the situation where they take a penalty while it's 5-on-5 at the end of the game, maybe in that situation, okay, 4-on-3 into overtime. But if you take a penalty in overtime, it should be 3-on-2.
Yeah, if you're agreeing, which is what the league done, that it is 3-on-3 in overtime, you shouldn't amend the rules just to add a guy rather than subtract a guy from the other team. If that's your stance, if that's what you're going to use for the 5-minute overtime period, objectively that would make sense to do that. And I would be in favor of it too, because like you said, I think it would just cause chaos. And I also think it would probably lead to a lot more goals. Number one, nobody really likes shootouts. I mean, I think they're entertaining, but at the end of the day, it's a weird way to win a hockey game, and it's a pretty shitty way to lose one. So I'd be fine with less shootouts, just generally. And I think it would potentially lead to some shorthanded goals. Guys would take risks. The two guys that are out there on the penalty kill in that situation would probably sell out to hopefully change their team's fortune. So I'd be down for that. But regardless, that's probably not going to happen, as the NHL is pretty set in their ways, as we've seen with their goalie interference rule.
And like goalie interference, it's like the new what is a catch? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing.
Des Bryant is like what's a catch? What's goalie interference? Nobody seems to know.
There shouldn't be subjectivity, but there is. And just from just like purely playing both sides, not playing both sides, but at least presenting the other argument, it was said that Zach Benson made his own way to the crease and interfered with Jordan Binnington playing his position. He was on the top of the crease. I wouldn't say he was in the crease. And then the St. Louis defenseman was the one that kept him there and prevented him from leaving that area. And also, Binnington positioned himself in a way that, number one, he wasn't even hit by Zach Benson, barely. I think he absolutely sold it. But number two, he got into a position where he also was contacting Benson by himself. It's not like Benson was contacting him. He initiated any contact there was at all, and there wasn't much contact regardless.
And if you look at it too, he was holding Benson's stick.
Yeah, by all stretches of the rule, whatever the rule is in any imagination, I think it was a bad call, but I do believe the league is trying to crack down on any instance of a player in the crease, which is insult to injury for any Buffalo fan, given the history of that ruling. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy that at least the court of public opinion has ruled in favor of the Sabres on that one.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I understand you want to crack down. All right, I get that. You want to, you want to protect the goaltender. You want to, but I just don't understand the concept of if it's clearly, there are so many things that said that should have been and then should have been the call on the ice understood. The fact that Binnington, again, like you said, just flopped. He flopped. He sold that like he was in the WWE. The holding of Benson's stick, the pushing of Benson into Binnington. Like, you're entitled to that ice in front of the paint. That's where Benson was. And he even took his foot out of the crease. So it would take away any chance where you could say, well, he was in the goaltender's paint. Like, he wasn't. And then he was pushed back into the crease. Like, I just don't understand. Like, if you see as a referee or in Toronto, whoever's making that call, and this goes back to your point, why they're not cameras or some type of audio in those situation rooms, we didn't even get an explanation. We got no explanation from the league. So if you can see it, and even on the St. Louis broadcast, they were saying, yeah, I think this goal is going to stand. I understand protecting the goaltenders and trying to get away from goalies are getting hurt, but like, that's a clean goal. Like, even the opposing fans and the broadcast are agreeing with that. Like, it's just nonsense at this point.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear a non-biased goalie's opinion on it to see if they felt it would, well, both a defenseman and a goalie, because I think it can be looked at from a variety of ways. But I think the overarching point is that there is no clear defined set of rules that the league is using to rule on these, to decide on these calls when they're in the situation room. It seems there's no standard that's being set from play to play that we can look at and be like, hey, this is probably as close to it as we can get, or this is far away as we can get. We're all, it's seemingly in agreement, at least most of objective and subjective hockey fans looking at that play, but it seems the NHL isn't set on that themselves. So something to work on, and hopefully they address it. They probably won't, so we'll probably continue to get frustrated about it.
Yeah, it's so annoying, and it could have changed the outcome of game, because I think it's Victor Mador from I'm sorry, where are they from? Are they from Prague?
Czech Republic, yeah, that is Prague.
Yeah. He has a funny tweet as he goes, that's the first 5-3 win in overtime win in NHL history.
Love it.
It's a good one. Speaking of history, a couple clicks for Connor McDavid getting his becoming the 4th quickest player to 1,000 points in NHL history. Congrats to him. Honestly, probably did it quicker if it wasn't some of the injuries early in his career. But yeah, not potentially the greatest player ever lived. Potentially.
Speaking of bias, his line mate, Leon Draisaitl, says that he is the greatest player to ever play the game. And I've had that debate. And he's not already, obviously, because he's got to get there for Wayne. But the trajectory that he's on and the way that he plays the game in this day and age, where the goalies are a lot better and there's a lot more skill, there's not necessarily as much physicality, and it does cater to speed and skill a little bit more than the game used to. But the way that he is producing and the point per game, more than point per game pace that he's on, I think he has a legitimate shot to go down as the greatest player in the history of hockey, which is really saying something from not only the fact that Wayne Gretzky has more assists than the next person on the points list has points, but also given the expectations that Connor McDavid had. I would put it on a similar level to LeBron, to be honest. He was the chosen one. He was the prodigy. Everyone knew his name for years and years and years. This team that we love so much tanked a season and a half just to get him, or to have the opportunity to get him and have the best chances to get him. And if not, get the 1B, which was not a 1B. Turns out Eichel's a really good player, but he's not a 1B, given how good Connor McDavid is. And that's no shot at Jack Eichel.
And here's the thing, like Jack Eichel would have been first overall in any other draft.
Yeah, I mean, he's a top 15, 20 player in the league. But that just speaks to how unbelievably amazing Connor McDavid is.
Yeah, top 15 player in the league and number 1 asshole. But that's another story. McLeod absolutely thrived on the top line tonight.
He's so good. He's been really good most of the year, but I think you saw what he can raise his level to be with even better line mates. We talked a lot about in the offseason how good he was on Leon Draisaitl's line with the Oilers last season and what his ceiling potentially could be, given that people were a little bit upset about giving Savoy 1-for-1 for a guy like Ryan McLeod, given his point production. Yeah. But you saw his playmaking ability. You've seen his speed all season long and his ability to drive plays and also just get pucks to the net like he did on his first goal. He just floated it in there, but he was smart enough to realize that there was a lot of traffic in front and Binnington probably wasn't going to pick it up off the stick, and he just floated to the net, and that's a goal scorer's goal. So I'm so unbelievably pleased with his play this season. He is, I would say, the unsung hero of the team so far, without question. Yeah, I think he's such a pleasant surprise, and he can only get better from here because he is 23 years old.
Yeah, and that pass to Tuck, man.
That's great.
Like, he made that. I think he made that. It was sauce, but he was backing away to the other side of the net, and I want to say that puck may have been across the midpoint of the net when he finally made that.
That's something they probably practice. I've seen Kucherov and Stamkos did that a lot in their heyday with the Lightning. Kucherov would go almost all the way around the net and send it back to the side he came from to Stamkos on the back door. And that's a really hard play for a goalie to follow. But I think Binnington probably could have played it a little bit better given that the net was wide open. Amazing play. I would like to see more of it because as much as it does happen, you see it more and more often in the NHL today. I think it's a really, really tough play for a goalie to play, even if he does read it well, anticipate it well. Just your momentum going the other way and trying to defend against the wraparound, but also having the wherewithal to come back and cover your post. So yeah, that was amazing, and it just speaks to his level of intelligence and playmaking ability.
Yeah, and just he uses his speed. He creates so many chances off the rush. And you could see why they wanted him. That this team plays with a lot of speed, and I guess I understand. Not I guess now I understand why they were willing to give up such a again a valued prospect and Matthew Savoy for him. Because we were all skeptical about it. I was especially, but I'm willing to eat crow on that. Like that kid plays with a lot of jump, a lot of energy, has the best smile on the team, missing his teeth. But yeah, I've liked everything I've seen from him, and tonight just kind of proves that you can put him really anywhere in the lineup, and he's going to help you.
And this is a situation where the analytics do support the eye test, right? Like you see the impact that he has on the game, and then the numbers back it up. At 5-on-5, expected goals, everything related to what we talk about with these analytics can be used as a tool. They were very good in Edmonton, and especially with better line mates when he was put in critical situations, even on the penalty kill. But that was the redeeming quality once that trade was made, that he was a relative analytic darling, given his lack of actual point production when he was with Edmonton. He's still obviously a little bit on the young side on a fairly veteran team over there. Probably didn't get as many opportunities, and he's showing what he can do in a primetime opportunity, especially on the first line tonight. So that is the depth that we've been looking for. That's the depth that Kevin Adams needed to get in the offseason. And we said, like, we'll believe it when we see it on certain trades. And I will say that there are a lot of rumors all the time about Kevin being in talks and trading prospects and picks. But in this case, he actually did it. And it wasn't the biggest name in the world, but it was a guy they identified that could potentially help this team. And he's absolutely done it through the first 17 games.
And you want to know what? When the TV was panning, through the suites and stuff, it did catch. I mean, this isn't news, like scouts go to games, but LA had scouts in the arena tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, given their start, it's hard to say. They still have a pretty good team, and they've invested a lot of it into it so far. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were selling or either buying, to be honest. It could be either at this point for them. So, yeah, I would say it's not necessarily super likely unless there's another big injury in the lineup, God forbid. And thankfully, it looks like Tage is going to be back over the weekend or early next week, especially for the West Coast trip. But yeah, there's a lot to like, and there's a lot of room for promise as well. So McLeod is him playing as well as he has really made up for the fact that Cousins and Quinn have had a bit of a slow start to the season.
Yeah. One question I do have, because we are talking about, scouts and trades and stuff like that. A guy you thought might have gotten back into the lineup with the Samuelson injury didn't. Is Yoki Haru on the trade block?
So Matthew Fairburn, our guy over at The Athletic, did a trending up, trending down for a lot of guys on the team today. And he put him in the trending down section, but said something along the lines of the fact that, he hasn't fit into the Sabres D pairs this season. He started with Dahlin on the top pair. His numbers with Owen Power haven't been great over the years, and obviously Gilbert and Samuelson had overtaken him on the third pair. But his numbers, especially last season, weren't horrible. So given his contract, given that he's still relatively young, if he's a guy that currently just doesn't fit into the fragment of your lineup right now, that's a guy with trade value. And that's a guy that I think that theoretically could be on the block. Obviously, he's a right-handed shot, and we don't have many of those. But if you can get something back for him in combination with a prospect or a pick, it's not a bad idea. So I would say he probably is, given the fact that they've sat him down for as long as they have.
Yeah, I mean, again, you bring in, and again, Denny Gilbert really fits the style of hockey and defense that Lindy Ruff wants. Is he going to flash you offensively? No way. Is he going to make mistakes in the D zone? Probably. But, I saw a play, and somebody tweeted about it too. I forget when it was in the game, but he was trying to make a play on the puck. He got twisted around, and he has back to the play, and the guy winds up, and he's literally trying to block a shot while facing Levi. And I'm like, dude, that's amazing. Like, that's selling out. That's like literally putting your body on the line, for the team. You know what I mean? Doing anything you can to get a win. and that kind of stuff resonates. It does. I'm sure the team is overjoyed that he's getting in the lineup. I'm sure he looks like he's a good team guy, and that they're winning with him in the lineup. And it's nothing against Yoki Haru, but they haven't been winning with him in the lineup. They've been winning with Dennis Gilbert in the lineup.
Yeah, undefeated so far.
Yeah, I have no complaints. Yeah, he took 6 minutes in penalties a couple of games ago, but that's what you get with him sometimes. Like, you're going to get that. He's going to end up in the box every now and then. It's just who he is. There's a lot of players like that on most teams, but I was overjoyed to see us go 4-0 with Dennis Gilbert in the lineup, which the legend of Dennis Gilbert lives on.
Yeah, it's been another pleasant surprise and another good signing by Kevin Adams in the offseason. So we got to give him credit where credit's due. And if they continue to play like this, I would say they're even more of a buyer than they were previously, because as you continue to stay in that wild card race, you're going to want to make your team better, and you're going to want to push this team forward as much as you can. So we got to keep it going, keep being consistent, keep winning these games that they probably should win, where they outplayed the team, the dreaded deserve to win demeanor, but I think they absolutely deserve to win tonight.
Yes, they did. Next topic for sure. We have to get to this because me and you went a little back and forth on Twitter. Devin Levi tonight. Resilience.
Yeah.
Whether you wanted to, I'll even say that second goal he probably should have had, even though, or not second goal, was the third one. The third one that went 6.
Well, the second one was point blank from Buchnevich.
I don't think it's the second one. The third one is the one took the
bad bounce.
Yeah. So the second one, even though I forget who it was, how was that not called interference?
They don't call pick
It's
play.
So stupid. He literally drops the pass and physically takes the defender out of the play. This isn't basketball, man.
Yeah, I've never seen it called. It's
so stupid.
Yeah, hopefully
we might as well start doing it.
Hopefully that's a point of emphasis moving forward. But I was talking with a buddy about it, and that's never called. So I don't expect it to be called in the future. Hopefully guys don't get brazen about it. You don't see it that often, thankfully. But yeah, that's never called, and that's unfortunate. Obviously, you'd like Darlene to step up a little bit in the case of that, but it also makes it tough because his guy is being pushed back by their forward. But yeah, I mean, it's a point blank shot. I think it's a really good shot. I talk about the blocker dot and the glove dot a lot. When you go down your butterfly, there's an opening that opens up between your blocker, your glove, and your pad, and it's hard to save and cover that area as you're going down into your butterfly. A small opening opens up, and if you hit it perfectly with a very, very good shot like Buchnevich has, that's a tough shot to save. I think in the situation that we talked about, I think it's within the realm of possibility, especially with the first one, that two things can be true at the same time, that Owen Power had a very inexcusable giveaway in front of the net. He not only turned the puck over in the corner, didn't follow Brandon Saad to the front of the net, was turned around trying to get back to him, didn't have the presence of mind to stop for a second and tried to just backhand it out of the slot, sends it right to Brandon Saad, and it's a boom, boom play. I'm just saying that the way the shot came off Saad's stick and the way Levi reacted to it, yes, it was boom, boom. Had he gone bar down, not on him at all. Had he gone even glove side, blocker side, off the post, whatever, given the fact that his pads weren't completely sealed and he was already down in the butterfly, yeah, I think him personally, I really do believe.
I'm sure, and again, I'm sure there's a lot of goalies out there.
I'm not saying that it's completely on him, but it's something that I know he wants that.
5% on him, man. He's literally almost on his goal line when he's shooting that puck.
I know
you're not if you are at the top of your paint, even if you aren't fully still in the ice, that puck might still hit you in a different part of your body. It might, because you're further out of your net.
It's just the nature. It's just the nature in which the goal goes in. That's all I'm saying. Because we know as well as anybody that these pads, especially the new pads, seal the ice really well. And he was already coming out, and it was the trajectory of the puck, and the pass coming out from behind the net to the slot was changed by Power and his giveaway. But just simply the way that the shot went along the ice, I don't think Saad even got most of it. And that could also affect the way that Levi reacted to it. Specifically the trajectory of the puck and the way that it went in, and even his reaction to it. I'm not saying it's on him. I'm just telling you, if he was sitting here with us, he's saying he needs to either get a stick on the ice or seal his pads a little bit more. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, we can agree to disagree. Like I said, I agree with you that he probably feels he should have had the save. Like I said, there's a lot of saves we all probably as goalies wish we would make. That
if
maybe
we're assigning blame, it's way more on Power. I'm just specifically because there was a group of people talking about we need a save, we need a save, we need a save.
I'm sick of that. I am sick of that.
I know. It happens all the time. But
oh my God.
What I was trying to say is that in this case, I don't necessarily believe the full blame is on him. It's just more so that two things can be true at the same time, and it's worth it to know the situation and what the expectation is for each player. Obviously, Owen Power made the biggest mistake twice in that sequence, but it's also something that as we can both acknowledge that he probably wants back. But if we're assigning blame, it's obviously much more on Owen Power, and he's got to be better in those situations.
Yeah, I agree. If I was Devin Levi, honestly, I would have wanted to do what Mike Tyson did to Jake Paul tonight and just slap him right across the cheek. Did you see that?
I didn't see the video yet.
Oh, it's awesome.
All these
they go to line up on their way in, and
in my line of work, I'm gonna see a lot of it tomorrow. So believe me.
Yeah, Netflix, right?
Yeah, Netflix tomorrow night.
Excited. Yeah,
10 o'clock.
I hope Tyson ends up in like the first round.
I think it's going to be relatively boring. Personally, I think there is potentially some type of agreement that they're not going to punch each other in the face, given the age and the contract. But who knows? You never know. I really don't.
Jake Paul is going to punch in the face. We know that because
he's 58 years old and he has sciatica. So I know it's Mike Tyson, but either way,
I don't know. That man can still hit hard. Regardless, yeah, but I love seeing Levi get back on the winning side of things.
He responded well.
Well.
Regardless of what you think about the goals, he had a few really big time saves in high danger situations. The one we tweeted out where he went post to post, left post to right post, coming out of the corner.
What's his face?
I forget who was on.
Was the Sundqvist play for them?
Sundqvist, yeah. Really, really impressive outside edge work to get from his left post over to his right post really quickly. He's as good as anybody at that in terms of getting from post to post very quickly and also sealing the ice and covering the rebound as well. That's not an easy thing to do. So that was extremely impressive. And I think he had another really, really big save in the third period. Maybe it was the second or the first, point blank in front on Braden Shen. So, yeah, like you can say whatever you want about the goals, but he did what he needed to do to help the team get the win tonight. That is progression moving forward for a young goalie that still has room for development.
Yeah, I could agree more. And again, we talked about the narrative. Like I hate that narrative so much because, I got into it with a guy, and I'm just like, he's just like, we just need a save there. I'm like, okay, so. And he talked about how Bennington made like 3 big saves to start the first. Like, okay, so if Devin Levi was the one to make those big saves and he still let in that goal, are you still saying this? Like, it just makes no sense to me. Like, both him and UPL make big saves all the time in timely situations. In a 1 goal or a tie game, any big save by any goaltender is a big save in a timely situation. So why on a goal that you're not really at fault for is that he didn't come through the first? Shut the fuck up.
I mean, it's often cherry picked, but I would say that the patience is thin amongst the fan base, as you know, and particularly when it comes to goaltending. And I don't think that Levi's numbers this season are helping him out at all. In terms of when he does let in a goal, right? Like this is how people are going to react. If a guy's playing really well, he's going to have a little bit more leniency when it comes to the court of public opinion in terms of how a goal goes in and when it goes in. But I do think he helped out his case a lot tonight in how he responded to that and the saves he made in the third period specifically to keep the team in the game, get them to overtime, and thankfully he didn't have to do anything in overtime. So yeah. It's just something that, I mean, I know you get fired up about it, and I do too, but I also think it's good to approach the situation with nuance and look at it for what it is from game to game and situation to situation.
Yeah, it irks me sometimes, and maybe again, you say it's about patience. Like your impatience with the position now for over a decade, you just want your number 1 goalie.
It's the team too.
Yeah. So one final subtopic. Is Dylan Cousins back?
I wouldn't say fully because you still want a tiny bit more production. Obviously, that goal should have counted, but his past 5, 6 games have been so much better. And he even talked about it getting back to the player that he knows he can be. I think he's gotten out of the rut a little bit. He had 4 shots on goal tonight. He's probably leading the team in shots on goal now that Tage has been out. And that's obviously a really good sign. Of course, like you'd like to see him finish a little bit more, and I do think that'll come as he proved he can do 2 seasons ago with 30+ goals. But he's at least getting himself into better positions, getting himself into goal scoring, high danger opportunities. And I think he's also playing pretty well defensively. I think him being on a line with Peterka and Cousins, if nothing else, chemistry and familiarity breeds largely good situations for players going through a rut. I even thought Quinn was a tiny bit better tonight. Obviously, he still looks a little bit lost out there sometimes, but he at least was having a few more chances in the offensive zone. Looked like he had a little bit more presence. But yeah, I don't say he's fully back, but I do think he is 85, 90% of the way.
Yeah, again, like he's doing the things that when we looked at him 2 years ago, those things that he was doing correctly to have the season that eventually got him that big payday. So if this is he's going to keep progressing in this direction, man, like I think some really good things are on their way. So really, really happy to see. We have over 50 comments. So I'm sorry to everybody in the peanut gallery. I'll try and get some of your comments up. My MacBook needs to be updated, and I got the little notification, and unfortunately it was covering up the comments tab where it shows that all you guys have been commenting. Over 50. So I'll just check out on the stream. We'll try and answer any questions you guys have. But yeah, like he's going to the net. He's not playing as hesitant anymore. You know, he's shooting the puck like you said. He's showing confidence. He's being physical. He's doing all the things we saw that guy from 2 years ago do. What did you feel about Jack Quinn's game tonight?
Like I said, I think it was better, and the familiarity with Cousins and Peterka definitely helped him a little bit. I still think he's overplaying a bit too much. He's hanging on to the puck in situations where I think if he both moves the puck and moves his feet, he's going to put himself in better situations to eventually have a little bit more space and get himself into a position to score goals. We know he can score goals. We know what his shot is. I just think that he needs to be putting himself in better situation, and that largely comes down to moving the puck a little bit more and moving his feet. So I do think that's going to come. And like we said, like coming off 2 major injuries last year, his body's probably not exactly where he wants it to be. And I do think he's building back to that point where it's going to be a little bit more consistent moving forward.
Gargalon has a lot of problems with Jacob Bryson tonight. I know he didn't have a great game, but Bryson got shoved into the corner like a little baby. Everybody puts baby Bryson in the corner. I think that's a quote or something like that from a movie. I think putting baby in the corner. I think that's like Dirty Dancing or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think Jack Quinn is on his. I didn't hate his game tonight. Didn't hate it.
Yeah. Didn't love it, but didn't hate it.
Yeah, it's definitely been better than what we've seen. He's definitely still dealing with an injury. I think that Achilles injury. But how much longer can you keep him in the lineup and have him not produce to the point where it's like maybe it's just better to sit him down? Like, can they send him? Can they send him to just to go play in Rochester? Like they still think he's laboring something. Because not saying that I don't want him in the NHL, but like, I'd like to see him go get some swagger back, go score 4 goals in 5 games in Rochester, and then again bring him back up. Like, what are the rules for that?
I don't know what his contract dictates. I know he's probably still on his rookie contract or his first NHL contract. So I'm not positive, to be honest. I would imagine. I don't think he's signed another deal since he signed with the team. So I imagine he probably could. I'm not necessarily sure how much good that's going to do for a guy like him in his situation, given how long he's been in the NHL, specifically with a forward. I really think I think he's progressively gotten better throughout the year. He started off really, really slow, and he hasn't made as many strides as Cousin has. But I do think that he is at least building back to the level where I think he's going to put himself in position to score goals, which is what you need from him, which is what I think everybody expected. I don't think 20 goals was without the realm of possibility for him this season.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't think it still is. Like, I think there's a chance he could go on a run. I really do. So
he could score a hat trick against Philly and be right there. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't send him down. I think playing him with Cousins and Peterka, as long as Tage is out for now, is going to help. And as Cousins raises his game, I think Quinn is going to as well.
Yeah. The team is one stay-at-home defenseman and one top six forward from being next level. Really wish Adams would send a message to the locker room with a midseason trade. I mean, I'm all about that kind of stuff, man. Like, not saying that Casey Middlestat was a message sending crate, even though right now, I've been fine with Bowen Byram and the way he's played. But even though right now with how Casey's playing in Colorado, like you lost, you would say you probably lost that trade at this moment. But I don't know. I agree with that. Like Yoki Haru, is it can be Ryan Johnson? You know, maybe it's Jack Quinn. Maybe they decided to move him now before his value goes any lower. I don't think they would, but yeah, like you have so many pieces to give you the ability. You know, learn this lesson with Tage. You know what I mean? Learn a lesson. He's not seriously hurt, but you shouldn't. You know, don't take that for granted. Bring in a guy that can step in. Maybe he plays outside of your top six and just add some depth for you. But you can bring him into your top six in case of an injury to anybody in those top two lines, because you can't really risk it anymore. Like you can't expect this team to play like this without a Tage Thompson and still come out with a win against the better teams in the NHL.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I also think that you got to have the temperature of the room as well, right? Because if these guys are meshing, of course, got to produce, got to have wins, got to have consistency, but you got to be careful with the chemistry, got to be careful with the emotions, got to be careful. You're not out there to make friends, but at the same time, these guys appear to be building something, especially since that slow start to the season. They played much better over the course of the past 10 games. So I think it's a tricky situation. Obviously, you want to shake up the team. You want to make the team better. And if Adams has a deal that I think he feels makes sense to do that, I think he will. But it's also getting a feel for the temperature of the room. And I think Lindy probably is also helping out with that a lot as well. So we'll see. I don't necessarily think it's more than likely. I think there's less than a 50% chance it happens. So I don't want to get anybody's hopes up because it's kind of rare in this day and age for a massive mid-season trade, especially this long before the deadline. But I think they keep, especially for the rest of November, we've talked about how favorable the November schedule is for this team. 3 of the next 4 games are against potential lottery teams. So I think they do whatever they can to win at least 3 of the next 4 games. And potentially you're in a wild card spot right after that. So I think you see what happens and then you go from there.
Yeah. Another new listener. Thanks for Real Deal Prime on YouTube. McLeod, top 6 minutes. Why not? Check. Yeah. You know, we talked about that earlier. McLeod really stepped up his game tonight. First star honors, 2-point night. Couldn't be happier with his performance. I am upset Blues fans singing and dancing to Gloria as I was leaving the arena. Wasn't trying to rub the I'm not sure what that means, Chris. But I'm not really I'm not sure what that means. I love you though. He's always here in the chat. Yeah, any final thoughts?
I would say that it wasn't a must win, but it was a can't lose given what happened on Monday to the Canadiens and all of the injuries and all of the bad vibes surrounding that weird game. St. Louis isn't a great team, and especially given the goalie interference call and everything else, it took a lot of resilience to go out there, tie the game, intelligently get the power play to overtime and win it in overtime. It's a really big win. You've got the Flyers on Saturday, and then your West Coast swing with 3 very winnable games against the Kings, the Ducks, and the Sharks. So it's potentially a very winnable stretch coming up for this team before a much tougher December. So banking as many points and as many wins as possible in this stretch of games in the next 2 weeks is absolutely paramount. And I think tonight is a massive step in getting this team to do that. So obviously super pleased. I think largely a good game. They deserve to win, and you just got to keep it going on Saturday at home against the Flyers.
Yeah. 1 point from out of the away from third in the Atlantic. Again, you got to take advantage of this wide open division. Start stacking wins against the teams that you need to beat. So when you do lose the games you should lose, it doesn't hurt you as much. Philly, they're playing. I think they've been playing pretty well lately, right?
They've been better as of late, but
Better as of late, I think.
Not lighting the world.
It's not like a team that you're. It's not a game where they're the easy favorite. Put it that way.
Absolutely.
For Mauricio, what's the best, Connor? Hot sauna or hot tub or Cali pool party with Senorita Picky?
It's like 50 degrees here right now.
Oh man, it's been pretty chilly here in the mornings, man. But it's starting to cool down. I think we're supposed to get snow next week.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. So you don't miss the snow. But yeah, guys, as always, remember this has been brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from. Make sure you go check out Fatty Beer. Live music, entertainment, trivia. Check out a Sabres game at any of their locations. If you go on the link, catch the location, tell GD Jr., Greg Day Jr., that the boy from Two Goalies when Mike said hi. Manager at the link, catch the location. And, of course, Buffalo Apparel, one of the best places to get all of your Buffalo sports apparel needs, especially your Bills stuff or your Sabre stuff. We have some stuff up there right now, too, and some more stuff in the works. To all the people who have just started listening, like this person, thank you for always tuning in, even though I think that they think we're talking about the Bills. And to all our new listeners, please do us a favor. Please like this video on YouTube, like this video on Twitter, like this video on Facebook, share it, subscribe. Helps us a lot. It doesn't take that much effort. Just click subscribe, and click like. It helps us a lot. Gets noticed in the algorithm or ever how that stuff works, I think. So please like and share. And as always, go Sabres.